Welcome to another edition of the Hawk Off the Press podcast. I'm your host, Gazette Hawkeyes reporter John Steppe. I'm excited to be joined by Swarm founder and CEO Brad Heinrichs. 1 year of Swarm, Brad. Has it felt like a year?
Absolutely, it has, John. It's 1 year. You think it's like the old adage that goes, "The days go by slowly, the years go by fast." It's been looking back on the year, we've accomplished a lot. A lot has happened in the last year, so I can't say it's necessarily gone by fast, but it's been a rewarding start anyway.
And with that start, now that you're at kind of that 1 year mark, how much money have you raised so far?
Well, I think when you include I promise I'm going to give you X, but it hasn't coming through the door yet. I think we're well north of $3 million through the door, and promised and through the door, I guess. We've got about 2,100 members at this point of varying levels of annual gift giving or donating. So, and we've got some corporate sponsors that have signed up and that are believing in our vision and what we're doing, and so that's equally as exciting. But we've got a long ways to go in order to be as successful as we want to be.
And if I'm doing my math right on the 2,100 members and the 3 million, I'm assuming you're probably getting some big ticket donors. Is it?
Yeah.
What's kind of the
sure.
pie chart of the bigger donors, smaller donors, corporate donors, etc.?
So we have on the corporate side. I mean, I think you probably saw our press release about Elite Casinos. $500,000 a year, and I think I'm hopeful that they'll continue to increase that gift as we move forward. But there have been a few other firms that, Summit Ag, you've probably maybe seen tweets from kids and the I-80 truck stop and Mid States. We've had some other companies that have really kicked in quite a bit of resources for us. So that's on the corporate side. We've also had some individuals that have given in the six figures, which has been extremely helpful, and lots of $20,000-$25,000 gifts along with that. So hoping those are end up being recurring gifts and not one time. The worst part about starting year two is that you gotta, if you're gonna do better than year one, you've got to raise as much as you did in year one and then some, right? Again, we're embarking on year two. We're excited about where we're going. We're excited about what's happened in year one. I was talking to I guess she's about to be the interim AD, Beth Getz. I talked to her last week, and she told me that her intel is that we're the fourth best NIL program in the conference. And whether she's right or wrong, I'll take it, but that's not really where we want to be. But that beats the heck out of 14th, right? So anyway, we're off to a good start. I think we've made a positive impact on our student athletes. I think we've made a positive impact on the community, and I think we have a really good relationship with our coaches. So, all told, I don't have a lot to complain about at this point.
And that's a great segue into my next question. So at times during Gary Barta's tenure, he had not been very proactive on NIL, and frustration had kind of amounted from that, unsurprisingly, when that's where college athletics is going. Have things been better with Beth Getz now? Officially not interim AD, but pretty much interim AD.
Well, I'll give Beth a lot of credit, and I know that she's not somebody that's a glory hound or anything like that. And I don't mean to disparage Gary, but I do see that Beth has. I mean, she's definitely taking initiative to want to talk to me, and I can't thank her enough for her support and just athletics in general. I feel like athletics over the last year has evolved and starting to realize, if they haven't already, and I know Beth does, realize that NIL is here to stay. It's going to be an integral part of college athletics. It may evolve and morph into something different than what it is currently. But I think there's a self-awareness now over there that we're going to be we need to be a partner with the Swarm and not an adversary. And so I'm really excited about the next 12 months and what the future holds there, because I really think that if athletics really embraces us, looks for ways to support us, it will propel us far further than where we are right now. I think that they can really be a catalyst for us, and that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm counting on, and we'll just see.
And then you were mentioning the great relationships with coaches. How often does that dialogue happen? Is this like an every week, every month, however often it's needed?
Yeah, I would say it's weekly. And then there are times when it's more frequent than weekly. So yeah, I'm on a first name basis with the coaches for sure, and some of the assistants, and so yeah, and it's very cordial. They're very supportive. They're very, very appreciative. So yeah, it's a very I was talking to Kirk just the other day, and I caught myself when I was talking about the football season, and I used the word we, and I caught myself, and I said, well, I'm including myself in we, in the we part at this point. Some fans will say we, and like, who are you? You're a fan. That's where I used to be. Now I'm saying we. And I kind of caught myself. Well, maybe it's not. I shouldn't be doing that when I'm talking to the head coach. And he says, no. I think you count at this point for sure. So yeah. I mean, I think that was a cool moment for me, because it's clear that he and the other coaches kind of view us as part of Iowa football, part of Iowa basketball at this point. So. That's really a big benefit.
And then you were mentioning the community service. I think it's more than 1,100 hours through the first year. Have you been getting feedback from these various nonprofits that all of a sudden have a lot more
we really
help?
have. We really have, and we've posted some of the comments, but some we haven't. But yes, these various nonprofits and charities in and around Eastern Iowa have been very appreciative. They've been fun to work with. And if you even talk to some of our student athletes, I remember Luke Lachey saying that one of his favorite times in the last year were some of his big brother, big sister kinds of his involvement with them. Hearing that's really cool, because that we're making a positive impact on the community, and hey, you know what, we're actually helping our student athletes become better people as well. So yes, the various nonprofits are very appreciative of the time and effort that our student athletes are putting forth towards their cause, and I'm hopeful that in the next 12 months we can do far better, and more hours towards their missions in the next school year.
And then a popular topic, I think, for all Iowans, beer.
Yeah.
The Swarm beer. I think that's been out now. Let's see if I can do math. A little over a month now, I think.
Yeah, little over a month, and I think we got in our first month we got $30,000 from Exile. Exile's been a terrific partner for us at this point. The reason why I thought to do something like this is not just because I want to, make sure that Hawkeye fans are plenty intoxicated. It's I'm looking for passive income for our collective here, and every dollar we make from Swarm beer is $1 less I have to ask our donors to contribute. So yeah, I think it's really good beer. The feedback has been positive. I'm happy to say that that we've received indication that the beer is going to be sold in Kinnick this fall. I'm hopeful that going to a Hawkeye football game, it becomes this rite of passage. Hey, if I'm going to an Iowa football game, I've got to also drink Swarm beer while I'm there. I'm hopeful that becomes sort of part of the experience. But either way, I think that this partnership with Exile Brewing has really taken off, and I know that it's I'm hopeful that this becomes I won't call it a moneymaker, but something that really helps propel and also creates awareness amongst the donors of who we are and what we're trying to do. We're not just a beer company. We're actually trying to do good things for the community, reward our student athletes for their name, image, and likeness, and compete. Because if we're not good, if we don't do a good job on the NIL front, we're not going to have good players, John. It's going to be tough.
And for the 99% of us here that have not created their own beer, how does that work? Like, do you get to taste it before it comes out?
Yeah, it was actually really fun. Went to Exile and I said, and I gave them a bunch of, a laundry list of instructions of what I wanted this beer to taste like. And I had to put my own personal, feelings aside as far as what kind of beer I like. It's more about, okay, what kind of beer do Hawkeye fans like the most? And when I walk around tailgates, I see a lot of Busch Light. I'll see a lot of Coors Lights. I'll see a lot of Bud Lights. And so, a lighter beer that is lower in alcohol content, not one that's going to, you can drink 2 or 3 of, and then you better stop. Otherwise you're not going to be able to walk. This needs, and so in Exile, to their credit, I mean, it only took them 1 shot and they got it and they nailed it. It's a lighter beer, 4.1 ABV. It's, the idea is to try to make it taste as much like a really light, light beer as possible, even though it's a craft beer, which I think it makes it impossible almost to make a Coors Lightish type of beer on the craft side. But they did a pretty good job, and most people I talked to that have tried it are kind of like, okay, I can drink this. So it's really exciting. But yes, that process is fun. We tried a bunch of their beers. I told them what I liked, what I didn't like, and then I told them what I was looking for, and then they took lots of notes and came back and they had a full page description of what the Swarm beer tastes like. And reading all of that, I'm kind of going, I don't know. I almost feel like you got to be, you have to be an absolute connoisseur of beer to be able to taste all the things that they said that you taste in this beer. But it was a fun experience, John. Sorry, I went probably a little longer than you wanted to hear about it, but it was fun.
I'm impressed by that. Like, I think I could maybe fill 1 line with a description of a beer that I consume.
That's right. They have a full page of it. You could probably ask them for the they call them tasting notes. And it's like you're going to a winery or something. But they'll give you this long diatribe of what this beer tastes like. And to the beer connoisseurs, they'll probably look at those tasting notes and say, yep, that they've got it right. And for me, it's like, hey, it's light. It doesn't have this horrible aftertaste. It's smooth. It's a golden ale. So,
well, switching gears from beer to vodka, now you've got the Swarm vodka too. How did that come about?
Very similarly. So it's people are starting to wonder whether I'm this raging alcoholic or something that and if we come up with a bourbon or something like that, don't judge me, John. Again, we're going back to what I'm trying to do is create passive income, and I'm thinking about our Hawkeye fans, and maybe it's just maybe it's me, but some of these vices they seem to sell pretty well. So yeah, so vodka. We may be doing a bourbon at some point. John, I'll make Swarm toothpaste if it means that that we can get passive income for the Swarm and help us compete and do the things we're trying to do. Whatever it's going to take, we're going to do it.
And then speaking of where you want to go with this, your aspirational goals, I believe $5 million annually, 10,000 members. What level of competitiveness would that get you to? Would that get you to Ohio State level? Would that get you just below that?
Yeah, I think we would be, the answer is, when are we talking about getting there, right? I mean, I think that, 5 million over this next 12 months would get us closer to that. We would be in the top 3 probably. In 5 years, it's probably going to take 10 million to be in that same zone. That's really where I want to be. I want to compete with Ohio State. I want to compete with Michigan. I want to compete with Penn State. I want to compete with the best of the Big Ten in whatever sport we're talking about. I think that the Hawkeye fan base is strong enough, rabid enough, that once they start to see results, once they start to buy into our vision, once they get past I think it's wrong that players are getting paid. Once they move past that, that's when I think we'll really start to take off, because they'll see that our organization is doing things the right way. We're making a positive impact in the community, and we're very efficient with the dollars that they donate. So I'm hopeful that we can get to a 10 million number. I'm hopeful that we can get, it would seem like we ought to be able to get 10,000 members. Think about how many people are in Kinnick on a Saturday. It would seem like we ought to be able to go far north of our 2,100 that we currently have. But we're going to see.
What do you think is kind of the key to getting? Because obviously it's a pretty big membership growth to go from 2,100 to 10,000.
Yeah.
You're the one with the math related degree, but somewhere between 400 and 500%.
Yeah. It's what's it going to take? I mean, I think we're still in the raising awareness and getting people off of their prior convictions component of this. There are still people that I have friends that say they brought the Swarm beer to the July 4th picnic, right? And nobody there at the picnic had any idea who the Swarm was or what we're trying to do. So there's still there's a whole lot of education that needs to happen. And that's also where I think Iowa Athletics can really help us. I mean, they're able to help fundraise for us. They're able to help educate the masses. And we haven't had as much of that as I'd like so far. And hopefully over the next 12 months, with their help, we can maybe triple up our membership, double up, maybe triple up, hopefully triple up our membership, be in the 6,000, 7,000 range. Would be nice this time next year. We'll see. But I don't think that's unreasonable. We went from 0 to 2,100 in 12 months where nobody knew who we were. Nobody knew anything. Now with some of our products, some of, just more and more word of mouth, I think the chances of us tripling up at this point are much greater.
And then the IRS kind of made a splash with some headlines on the NIL collectives, and their federal tax exempt status. Have you received any clarification from them on what that could possibly mean for Swarm?
Nothing additional. I mean, we have a letter from the IRS saying that donations to our Swarm collective are tax exempt. And so if you could donate to the Swarm collective, it's a tax deductible contribution or donation. I actually was excited. Excited is not the right word. I smiled when I saw the IRS letter or whatever that was, talking about how they may be coming down on these collectives. And the reason why I smiled is that our organization is set up differently than most collectives. We have the most, collectives for sports. We have 2 organizations. We have the Swarm Collective, which is a 501c3 where the donations are tax deductible. And then we have the Swarm Inc. side, which is a completely separate organization. That's where corporations donate and the student athletes do marketing for these corporations. The reason why I just set this up was for this very reason, John. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't paying a student athlete tons of money out of the collective for not doing much. So the student athletes that work out of the collective, they're earning their keep. We're paying them a certain amount to go do work for charity. There is a direct relationship between the work that they're doing and the amount that they're being paid. They're not just being paid to be quarterback. They're not just being paid to be a running back or a starting point guard. They are being paid for doing work. And so our NIL attorney, our tax attorney have all said to me, Brad, you guys are as clean as any collective we've seen from any IRS whatever criticism or scrutiny, I guess is the word. And so this might actually be good for us. It may be that our competition, if you will, may have to restructure because they're paying all these guys out of one organization, and some of the folks that are getting paid lots and lots of money for doing very, very little in the collective. And so the IRS looks at that and goes, wait a minute, you can't be paying a guy $200,000 for a social media post. Sorry, that's just not something you can do. And that doesn't happen with what we're doing. So,
and then as you're kind of figuring things out as the collective CEO, do you talk to other collective CEOs? I'm assuming there isn't like a collective CEO group chat or anything.
Well, you'd be surprised. There is. And yeah, it's an interesting group, and there's conferences and whatnot where other collective personnel go and they cry on each other's shoulder about how tough this is and how thankless of a job it is, and and how difficult it is to fundraise. It's almost like a therapy session. I've also helped. We had one Big Ten organization lost their head coach to go to another school, and one of the reasons that he left was because the NIL program wasn't great. Well, that NIL program just went away. A new one started. We kind of help each other out a little bit to try to, this is a thankless job and it's difficult. And so, I've helped out another school's new NIL director get started. These are just things you do. But yeah, you'd be surprised. There is a community here in this NIL space now.
And then one last question before I let you go. So you've been putting in a lot of hours yourself in this.
Yeah.
Is this something long-term that you plan on continuing to do? Is it until there's somebody else to pass the baton to?
It's a real good question. I'm gonna, just like anything, I'm gonna keep doing it as long as I'm having fun. As long as the folks that I'm doing the work for are appreciative, and they think that I'm the right person for the job. I'm not taking any salary for this. I'm not taking any income for this. I'm doing this because I want the Hawks to win, and I want them to do it the right way, and I want our community, a local community in Iowa, to prosper. If someone comes along and says I could do a whole lot better job at this than you, Brad, and other people tend to agree, I will gladly hand over the keys. I'm a fan first. So if someone else wants to do this and they think they could do a better job, have them contact me, John. I could be talked out of this. But at the same time, until that point, I'm gonna full steam ahead, try to grow this thing. I've done it before on the business, in real business. I've done it before, building a company to be something substantial. I'm going to try to do this with the Swarm as well.
Well, Brad, thanks for joining me.
John, it's always a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing you my next time up in Iowa City. And
yes.
Maybe I'll be able to talk you into a Swarm beer at some point this fall.
I live next to a brewery, so it does not take much to talk me into a craft beer.
That sounds great.
So, okay. Well, thanks to our listeners as well for tuning in. Until next time, we will talk Hawks later.
much.